Great. Are we ready?
Ready.
Wait. Okay, we are moving on to study area 25. This is out west of the Oroville Airport, the Thermalito Afterbay area. The alternatives evaluation report, piece of paper that I just had in front of me, identified impacts to grazing land, sensitive grassland and vernal swale habitat, and flooding as potential issues in this study area. The three alternatives include the alternative one, the existing general plan, which would designate the entire study area for rural residential, resulting in approximately 100 new units. Alternative 2, which would designate the entire study area for agriculture and would not allow a significant number of new units. And Alternative 3, which is most consistent with the City of Oroville's general plan, specific plan designation, which reflects the development proposal that we've already heard about on this site. A mix of residential densities and up to 2,400 units with some retail along 162. So the CAC talked about this on April 17th. They, let me see where, sorry. They did think that some development might be appropriate in this area. However, they felt that 2,400 new units was too many. So 16 of them supported Alternative 1, which would allow some residential development, while 8 supported Alternative 2, which would have kept the area in agriculture and not allowed a significant number of new homes. So our preferred alternative is Alternative 1. This looks a little bit odd to me, but I think it's the study area. I'm not sure what the slanted part is at the top. So the CAC recommended that this be keep its existing general plan designation for rural residential and allow about 100 new homes. You've heard from the city that they've approved a project, a specific plan, and certified an EIR for a project that would include 2,400 new homes.
My first thought is if the city's already approved this for that kind of development, what say does the county have anyway?
Well, the city is going to apply for annexation of this property. Currently, it's still under county jurisdiction, obviously.
And I suppose the annexation could be rejected, and then the county has the final say.
Right. I think we're sort of heading towards a discussion with LAFCO. What's the county's plan for this area? What's the city's plan for this area? And ultimately, I guess LAFCO could decide. But it would be better if the two jurisdictions, like our guiding principle number 1, had a coordinated strategy, one way or the other. I mean, and they've sort of made their position very clear.
The only problem I have is when the city annexed the airport, it went and annexed 162 and nothing on either side of it for a couple of miles. And then they expanded onto it in order to allow the development that's right next to the golf course. And now they're wanting to add another string to add another balloon to their string.
Actually, I believe that the annexation proposal includes the area between the airport and the proposed Oro Bay, or the approved, I guess, Oro Bay specific plan as well. So property that's to the west is also part of the annexation proposal.
The west of what?
They will take everything,
the west of
everything from the airport
study
west.
area. Yes, that's the.
So the airport's still on the string.
The airport would still be on a string.
Through LAFCO, if they didn't, probably.
Although you've also heard that there's proposals by the city to annex areas south of Highway 162.
Talking about 410 acres in this area, 25?
Yes.
Well, even if it stayed in the county, it seems to me it's a pretty good project. It is next to jobs at the airport. It's a well-planned, integrated community. Or it will be once it's approved.
There's really only two job-generating facilities at the airport. One's the box plant, and the other is metal outfit.
Before the gentleman speaks, and I'd just like to say that the projects, the number of units and all that, that looks like something that is going to stimulate the economy again. Most people know that I'm pro development, and that I see that not growing are for any corporation, including the county, are the first signs of death, and we got to continue moving forward. Of the things that we give the green light, many of them are not going to come to fruition because you still have many hurdles to jump through. But this is the type of thing that will again employ many of the professionals and white collar workers and blue collar workers alike, and stimulate the economy of Butte County. You hear, like the Home Depot, nationally's closed like 12 stores, and they're planning on closing some more. It would be nice, if we were moving along, and the fuel crisis, of course, is not helping, but we need projects like this where we can actually have another Home Depot, a super Walmart down there, Costco over there on that part of the county. And even if the city of Oroville later annexes this, it will benefit the county. So, and we have to work together and dovetail. So I think this is a good project, but go ahead, sir.
I appreciate that, Commissioner. Chris Hawk with Oro Bay Associates. That's one of the points that I wanted to make with regard to employment. Even though there are only a few employers right now at the airport, that airport is slated by the city for major business development. OIDCO, the business development group in the city of Oroville, is trying to promote that area. We get calls consistently from retail developers. In fact, there's one retail developer out of Sacramento that now is processing a plan through the city of Oroville that is looking forward towards the development of our site to support his retail development. And we get calls consistently from other retail developers who are saying the same thing. We need the residential to support the retail development. And the city's recognized that. This is an extremely important project for the city. They've mentioned that over and over again in our city council hearing. We're looking forward to it. We've spent a considerable amount of time, as I mentioned earlier, 3 years in the planning and processing of this. It's been fully vetted through the environmental process. In terms of the constraints that were mentioned, I just wanted to address those. Habitat constraints, this is 420 acres with only 3 acres of habitat impact on it. You can't find 420 acres in Butte County like this that has such a small amount of impacted wetland features. And the primary reason for that is because it's been overgrazed for a number of years. It's a significant parcel. Again, there are very few parcels of this size. And so we get an economy of scale, and it allows this project to bring to that area the needed infrastructure that it so needs in order to get its development underway. In regards to the Thermalito area and the annexation of Thermalito, the city's recognized that it's a really important catalyst, as I mentioned in my earlier comments, for the future annexation of Thermalito, because we are going to be providing significant infrastructure improvements out there.
Our alternatives evaluation report gives this project a D for sensitive habitats.
That is just, I don't know where that comes from, because we had Galloway Consulting do our environmental analysis, our biological review. They've reviewed the site. We've had 3 series of biological reviews. Our biological assessment has been approved by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The California Fish and Game has approved it as well. As I said, it's only 3 acres of wetland impact on 420 acres. And in talking with Galloway, of all the projects that they're working on in the county, ours is by far the most minimal impact.
Thank you. Thoughts? I don't have any problem with the project. I have a problem with the city planning on going out there and getting it immediately without filling in between. But they're going to have to go through LAFCO to get it anyway. So, and I think LAFCO is leaning towards making the city tie it all together.
You know, also one thing I like about the project, Harold, is that it's kind of bordering on another different artery, not on I-70, but or Highway 70, but on 99, and eventually that has to be infilled. But we know not all the areas in between there can be infilled. As Commissioner Nelson and Commissioner Lambert and I drove through Thermalito, and they were showing me the lower areas that really can't be developed because of the flooding that takes place over there. So this is, like the gentleman was saying, this is one of the areas that can be developed without this type of problem.
Yeah, could I just add one other comment with regard to that too? I forgot to make
the process down, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to make one quick comment with regard to infrastructure, because this project is within the sphere of influence of the city. A number of the planning areas that you've already considered have areas outside of the sphere, and infrastructure is virtually within several hundred feet of this project site. So it's another important consideration.
We're well aware of that, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody have a thought? I'm not going to oppose it.
I think it's a city project, but I don't think it's a county project, and that's why I'm going to probably vote against it, because I don't think they don't have the infrastructure unless they go in the city, because the only infrastructure they have, to my knowledge, is the city infrastructure. So anyway, that's where I'm.
It's there within probably a half mile.
Well, they have to go in the city, or else it has.
They are in the sphere, he said.
Yeah, the city's.
We're in the sphere.
City's put the sphere out there.
I'm tended to go to, for this, like I said, but also because I'm a student pilot, and I see the the airport as being benefited and expanded, by this project. As to without it, the airport economy is also kind of dwindling there. Nothing's happening. So it's a good project all the way around. Even if the city of Oroville does annex it in the future, it will benefit all of us.
Well, at this kind of density, the city has to annex it, because they're not going to do this on septic tanks.
Right.
Yes. So what maybe we approve it conditioned on annexation to the city. Yeah. All right. Well, let me make that motion then. Let me propose that the Planning Commission approve, well, I guess make a different recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that, contrary to the recommendation of the Citizens Advisory Committee, Study Area 25 be developed according to the owner's plans, provided that it be annexed to the city of Oroville.
But, that might not come for 5 or 10 years.
We did ask the CAC to be clear about whether or not if they wanted to express an opinion about whether or not development would occur in the county or under the auspices of the city. And for some study areas, they were very clear that it should happen only if annexed by the city. For others, they said this is a good place for development and it doesn't matter whether it happens in the county or in the city. I don't know if you want to provide similar direction.
Making the preferred alternative unless they annex and get in which case they're going to get what they're going to get.
Well, even if it's just in the county, I think they could put together
We're giving them a general plan
sewage treatment
designation,
plants
and they're not even
like
in the
that.
city. I mean, if for something they really can't develop in the county, just because we're saying they're going to go in the city.
Well, if I guess another way we could say urban reserve. Say, because if this is going to be in the county, then we're not going to be developing at these densities. It should be something, very, very.
We need to make it real clear that it's not going to be a county development, period. I think we need to make that real clear. That if it's going to be a development, it's going to go into the city and it's going to be annexed, and they're going to get they're going to get all their services and their density.
They're going to have to get the services in the city.
If your commission,
It could be self-sufficient also.
It's in the sphere, it's in the urban area. What if they develop to Oroville's standards? If they develop in the county, if you don't require annexation, then why not require development to their standards?
But what about septic and
They can
the Oroville standards would be it's on sewer, but it's not going to be on sewer if it's in the county.
They can't get septic out there.
They can put together
It takes at least 5 acres to get a septic system in that ground.
a development of this size could finance a sewer treatment plant.
I think you've
for
heard
itself.
that this project is, at least from the city's perspective, the preferred provider for sewer would be the Thermalito Irrigation District. Just to throw this out, your commission could consider something similar to what you've talked about in other areas with an urban reserve, perhaps on top of the preferred alternative from the Citizens Advisory Committee. And that would, have that area set aside as urban reserve, underlined by ag, available if the city were to go ahead and move forward with the Oro Bay specific plan.
That would be a little bit different from how we've used the urban reserve elsewhere as a designation, in that it would be using it as a overlay rather than a designation.
That's right. Who provides the sewer? It's not the city of Oroville, is
No,
it?
it's Thermalito Irrigation District.
Thermalito.
So it's not necessarily a requirement that this city would provide services. I guess the question I would have is, as you're going down this road, what if LAFCO says no for some reason? So would it be the position of your commission that then this project should not proceed as a county project?
That's where I'm coming from, is that we're sitting there going to give it a designation, and they don't even have anything yet from.
You don't want the tax base. And
But why couldn't it be a
sheriff's
county
substation
project?
out there and new fire station?
I kind of think no, because you look at it. If you talk about a checkerboard, you'd have Oroville County and Thermalito, Oroville at the airport in one subdivision, then county. I think, I think I would not want it, even though it'd be a nice big juicy hunk of tax base. I don't think I would put that there unless it was part of the city. So maybe I'm coming around. I think maybe what we should say is no. Keep it at the, the same as the Citizens Advisory Committee was alternative one, which did have, I guess, development at 5 acres per housing density. Maybe what we should say is the other one, which was 2. Leave it in ag.
Unless they get their designation in the city and they get their infrastructure.
Yeah, and we don't have to say anything about
around
that.
us then.
Well, that'll do it.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, and that's fine. They don't need our approval.
No.
If the city's going to annex it, they're all set.
They're not going to get our approval anyway. They're going to just move on. And what we've done is, if we grant it to them, then they basically have that designation in the county, and we know that it can't happen. So, anyway, that's where I'm leaning. I'm just saying, if the city.
I'd rather see it in ag than in 100
Number 2
homes.
sounds better to me.
Yeah, I mean, because it'd be on. We're talking on septic, so it's going to be ranchettes. I'd rather leave it in ag. It's
even minimal grazing land out there.
It's saving.
So, the hard pan is about that far underneath the dirt.
Yeah.
The grass grows up about that high and stunts and dies.
I'm also thinking sort of urban reserve. Leave it in ag, then there won't be any homes there. So if it ever does annex to Oroville, then it'd be the whole blank slate. It's all one landowner anyway, so that will keep it the way it is. Well, let me make that motion and see if that'll find out. We've gone 180 degrees. Let me propose that the Planning Commission make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors different from that of the Citizens Advisory Committee in that we recommend alternative 2, leaving the area, that's area 25, in agriculture.
Is that with an urban reserve overlay? To kind of communicate the message that if it does develop, it must develop in the city, or not?
I think not, because, you know, if LAFCO for some reason says no, then we might want to be open to do something different with it. I don't know what.
Well, why wouldn't this be a good development for the county? I think we're thinking too small.
Because lack of sewer.
It could sustain its own sewer plant. Thermalito already doing their own, and they're not in the city. They're not in the city.
Right into the afterbay? I mean, I don't understand.
No, once you treat it, the water is almost potable.
There's no sewer plant in Thermalito.
Sewer and water service are to the site. It's available to the site. It is a part of our mitigation measures that we connect to it and improve it.
Yeah.
The service is there for the site. What's unusual is that this site has service. You're approving projects that don't even have service. They're outside of the sphere of influences for projects that may or may never happen. This is consistent with your guiding principle of having it consistent with what the city wants to see.
Yeah. So maybe that argues for the urban reserve overlay. So that's my motion. We'll make it alternative 2, agriculture with an urban reserve overlay.
With an urban reserve?
Yeah. The flag that.
So it's sort of just like in Paradise, where if it goes into the city structure and they annex, then it can become whatever it is in the city.
And that,
Yeah. And that's, you know, the expectation. They've already approved it.
Go ahead,
But-
Janet.
Yeah.
well, you could also, I'm getting a little concerned about using the urban reserve as an overlay. So far in the process, we've only discussed using it as a designation, as you saw in the study area 11 by Paradise. So to have something that's both a designation and an overlay is potentially confusing. And I think the intent of the urban reserve as a designation is to do the kind of holding pattern that you're talking about.
Exactly
So
what we're doing.
all I'm saying is you could just apply that as a designation instead of having the ag designation with an urban reserve overlay,
I see.
if you wanted to consider that option.
So the urban reserve means we're setting it aside then for
Why
development.
is it necessary to have the urban reserve on here?
I'm sorry, we're not open to the public on this right now.
I'm just
Somebody
a
wants to ask
landowner
you a
that
question.
installed all the infrastructure, and I thought you might want to just a little detail of what's in the ground between the golf course and this project.
Okay,
I didn't think I needed to talk because I wasn't included in 25. I can give you a 3-minute discussion of what's there if you'd like. I think it could be educational for us, Harold.
Anybody else want to hear what he has to say?
Well, we're here making a decision on 25, and if we, I don't have a problem with it, really. That's.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
We need information in order to make a decision, and if this gentleman can give us
Thank you, Commissioner.
we should take it.
I'm Bert Garland. I'm the owner of Linkside Place. We're also 135 acres that's being annexed at the same time as the Oro Bay project. We're part of the EIR. There is infrastructure in the ground at the east side of the Linkside Place, which is the little area that kicks out from the airport right there, up a little bit to the right. There's a lift station and water, fire protection in the ground.
Going to where?
Going to the Thermalito system. Also for our 135 acres, that's the already annexed part, that infrastructure is in the ground at the highway. For the 135 acres, we're exploring cooking up to the Thermalito Irrigation District or a packaged treatment plant in concert with Oro Bay. And the city is very interested in a green environment where they would take our reclaimed water. So the fact that sewer is not there is not an issue for a large project like this. It's economical and actually maybe more economical and more green than hooking into the Thermalito project. So all the studies have been done. So we'd be glad to resubmit this in more detail to the Commission. Or I'd answer any questions if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
But, you know, I still think from the county's perspective, if we did develop that at that kind of density, it would just be hanging out there. a little pocket of developed county really all by itself. So maybe all right, here's the last motion. This is going to be it. I'm just going to propose that we zone it for alternative 2, because in my thinking that's the way we'd keep it if it stayed in the county, and no urban reserve overlay.
I'll second.
I'll second it if you didn't get a second. Did you have a second?
Yeah,
You did?
second.
All right.
Commissioner Marin right there.
Good. All right. I
We
like
have
that.
we have a motion and a second to
Alternative two to
accept
remain.
alternative number 2 for study area number 5. All those
25.
in favor?
25.
Excuse me. We're past that zone. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to say no on that one just because.
Okay.
Okay. 26.
Next, we're going to look at study area 26. This is the Las Plumas area. In the alternatives evaluation report, some of the constraints that were highlighted were school capacity issues, impacts to agriculture, habitat, and flooding. These 3 alternatives. Alternative 1 is based on the current general plan, which designates a mix of medium in the light brown, medium high in the dark brown, and high density residential in the very dark brown, and retail, industrial, and public lands in this area. The alternative 2 was developed to be similar to some specific development proposals that the county is aware of. This would include low, medium, and medium high density residential development up here, and as well as retail, industrial, and public in this area. This alternative would allow for a total of about 1,800 new units. Alternative 1 would have allowed up to 7,200 new units. And then in alternative 3, the majority of the area would be designated for low-density residential development, with the exception of these existing public designations. That would total about 3,600 new units. On April 17th, when we talked about this with the CAC, they supported the city of Oroville and the city's general plan. Again, we did hear from city staff, and they discussed that support for annexation in this area is among the highest out of the study areas that we looked at, especially in those parts of the in those parts of the study area that are closest to the existing city limits. Ultimately, 26 CAC members supported the city's general plan. This is what it looks like. This would include about 105 acres of rural residential, although I don't see this is down here in this corner. 780 acres of medium low density residential, all this brown stuff. 190 acres of medium density residential, the darker brown. 25 acres of medium high density residential, the very dark brown. And then also 320 acres of mixed use. This is another area where we have the mixed use designation. That's all the darker yellow that you see there. 30 acres of retail, 330 acres of industrial land in this southwestern portion. That would be part of the South Ophir specific plan, according to the city's general plan land use designation. And then again, we have this resource conservation along Wyman Ravine, similar to what we saw. This is adjoining what we saw in study area 23 earlier. This is the current preferred land use alternative, so I'll turn it over to you for discussion. Oh, and thank you, Tim. This would allow about 9,000 new homes.
Looks like that includes Southside.
Right.
I think so. All right, well, shall we move to adopt the recommendation of the Citizen Advisory Committee to have study area 27 developed according to, or 26 developed according to the City of Oroville's general plan?
Are we downzoning it by doing that? Downzoning property?
You know,
Did hear from at least one person that that portion of the property would be designated at lower densities than what is currently allowed in terms of the difference between the county and the city's designations and the medium and medium-high density designations.
Did you get a second? If not, I'll second.
no, I'll take the second.
Can I make one comment? I made a comment earlier. I'm that light brown in the middle of the two chocolate brown. To your
here?
right. That no, to the middle. That one. I was originally the chocolate brown, and the piece left to me was industrial. So I don't know how they went from industrial to high density, and I went from high density to low density. So.
Well, this is an area that the city is going to be moving into annexing, and that was what they decided they wanted to do.
The city was just going with whatever the property owners were asking. In this case, the property owners have been working on it for a while. And as I mentioned before, I didn't make it to all the meetings. I was just promised that, you're not going to get downgraded. You at least would stay the same.
Thank you. We heard from you the first time. Thank you.
Yep.
Second, for Area 26 to accept the city's preferred alternative.
So this is going to be annexed. That's the concept here. So
Yeah, they're basically saying this is what they want because they're going to come and get it.
Well, over time, it will be annexed, but there's a lot of barriers to and issues that need to be resolved, like Southside and the cost, as you heard the city representatives mention, for services for existing built-out areas such as Southside. So this is going to take a lot of years, in my opinion, to annex. I think what this begins to communicate, though, is the county will develop it. As it develops, it will develop to city standards so that this, as the new development occurs, it will not provide a barrier to future annexation. And so that's the strategy of the city and the county working in partnership here.
and this is Seward, so we can basically develop it whatever density it wants.
Right.
In a sense.
Yep.
It will always have service.
Yes.
Yep, I think that's the way to go.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to.
You don't want to talk about this gentleman's proposal then?
I think that he can
It'll
come,
take
if he wants something, he can come back and ask for a change. I don't see that it's locked in for forever. Do you? You know,
You're right.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're adopting a whole
We're
hog a plan developed by Oroville, and I don't think it's appropriate to piecemeal changes. I mean, if we were, had worked on a plan like this and had, the background of why it's zoned in different ways, then I'd feel comfortable maybe making a change. But we're taking the tack, and I think it's appropriate to adopt the City of Oroville's plan for this property. And I don't think we should be making piecemeal changes to it.
We made special, acceptance for Area 23, and even created maybe a special to YAG type of situation to try and, not to try to placate anyone, but to try to help everyone that's involved in this process.
is there anybody else that owns a piece in here that doesn't like the city's designation?
Yeah,
Plus, we don't know why it was changed.
I kind of see where he's coming from, and it's going to go through a process. So.
Yeah, it's going to go through a process anyway.
Since we don't know, yeah, I understand.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Area 26 to adopt the city's preferred plan. All those in favor say aye.
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 No.
4 ayes and 1 no.
lay out what we're saying.
Thank you. Just being a councilman in another jurisdiction, I don't get a chance to make it to the same meetings. I was promised when our city promises.
Since we don't know what's going on, we find it we're very uncomfortable just going willy-nilly and making a zoning change that the city's already put on it. So I understand where you're coming from, but you have to understand where we're coming from.
I submitted a map 4 years ago, and I'm still waiting. So I'm going backward in time and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Area 27.
Study Area 27 along Pacific Heights Road and Highway 70. The alternatives evaluation report highlighted constraints relating to ag land, habitat impacts, and recharge potential. The three alternatives are Alternative 1, which would allow, follow the existing general plan and would allow rural residential throughout most of the area with retail along Highway 70 for a total of 100 new units. That red strip equals about 100 acres of retail. Alternative 2 would designate the entire study area for agriculture. And Alternative 3 would be consistent with the City of Oroville General Plan, which includes the Rio Doro specific plan in this area. That would designate a mix of very low, medium, all the way up to high-density residential with some retail, public, and resource conservation uses interspersed. This is another case where we don't have a specific map of how those uses would be laid out. The total development would be 2,700 new units with about 28 acres of commercial retail use. I just want to make sure it's clear. We're looking at the area surrounded by the red outline here. The one across the road is 28. We'll get to that next. So when we talked about Study Area 27 for the first time on April 17th, there was some CAC members who felt that high-quality development here could be a more attractive gateway for Oroville as opposed to the industrial area that is currently the first thing people arriving on 70C. However, other CAC members were concerned that this is another example of leapfrog development, and we're also concerned about whether or not the residential and particularly the retail components of the proposed project would be market viable. Ultimately, 15 supported Alternative 2, which would have kept the entire study area in agriculture. There was a strong minority vote for Alternative 3, which would have supported the Rio Doro specific plan. This study area was one that was then subsequently discussed on May 1st again. And at that time, they talked again about the City of Oroville's general plan and decided that generally they supported the general plan, which again calls for the Rio de Oro specific plan. So the vote was changed and 14 of them supported the specific plan designation, allowing up to 2,700 new homes. The underlying designation would remain agriculture. 8 supported Alternative 2, which again would have kept the entire area in agriculture. So this is the current preferred land use alternative for your discussion. This is showing the agriculture underlying designation with the specific plan overlay shown by the cross-hatching.
Again, this is one of the one of the areas where we see smart growth development type planning. I remember we were, looking at a project once where they came to us with a billboard over there, and we shot it down, even though they had the right to put it up. And we said no because we didn't want that type of entrance to Oroville. And I think this is a project that would actually enhance the, the entrance to the city, the gateway, and again, I think it's a good project.
Can we say no billboards and no large signs in the commercial area?
You're not gonna have that with the with this type of development. You're not gonna have billboards on top of houses and stuff like that.
I was would support the city's preferred plan.
So alternative 2 was that was ag because they figured it was just too far away from the main core of the city. That was the concept behind alternative. When you said alternative 2, which essentially is, they said it's too far away, so.
Right. I think, people were concerned about habitat issues and, again, that it's
Right along the
leapfrog development.
No, it's totally separated by Pacific Heights Road.
I think there was the question, too, of is there the need for this as we look at all the capacity inside the sphere of Orville and the city limits of Orville, and, I mean, that was part of the discussion as well.
It won't fly, it won't fly.
Yeah, but there's enough capacity. I mean, you're going to be bigger than Chico with the amount of stuff we've approved today. You're going to be about twice the size.
But that's fine. We're the
so.
county seat anyhow.
You might even want to move over here, huh?
It'll make it more desirable.
I don't know. My opinion is it's overkill, but that's just my opinion.
Can't argue with that, but I think that I still rather support the city's plan.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to support the city's plan. It is a tougher call because at some point you get so far away from the city core that it's, kind of pipe dream. I can't imagine that all these people are going to need a place to stay in Orville. But Orville's taken the effort to plan that area out.
City's plan is the interesting discussion that Tim just relayed to us a couple of minutes ago is that the city plan is our plan until they decide to annex.
Right.
It's our plan. So you can't say this is the city's plan because this is our plan because it's going to be a while before it gets annexed.
Right. So it means these landowners would at least have the general plan indication that the county's willing to allow this to develop along those lines.
It could develop in the county until it gets annexed.
They've got a lot of right-of-way issues with Caltrans and everything else there too. So ingress and egress and another light.
Well, we can allow the development, subject to the standards of construction of the city of Orville. So we're ready in the future if and when it happens, and hopefully we'll get some kind of revenue sharing agreement with these things where the county can, not lose entirely, but, we can all benefit.
So let me make the motion, since I seem to be the guy that's making all the motions. I don't mean to monopolize. Let me propose that the Planning Commission support the recommendation of the Citizens Advisory Commission to the Board of Supervisors with respect to Study Area 27, that it be developed according to the City of Orville's general plan.
Second.
Well, that's a little bit different from what we have here with the preferred alternative. This is the, I just want to clarify that you're okay with this agriculture with the specific plan overlay, as opposed to just accepting with the city's general plan also has a specific plan overlay. I guess it's not that different.
But it's the same idea that you preserve it, you don't allow any further splits so that it can be preserved for an actual specific plan
Right.
In the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you put the specific plan in, I'll second it.
Okay, so we'll have an ag zoning until there's a specific plan, but the specific plan will be an annexation type specific plan where it goes into the city, or will it be a county specific plan, or either one?
You have a direction about that, you should say it.
No, I think this is one that I don't think we need to have developed within the city. Obviously, they're going to have to accommodate sewage somehow if it's going to be at that density. So
That's going to be a big limiting factor.
yeah. So no, I don't think we need to require that this be developed within the city.
It is an area that needs a specific plan.
Doesn't need a specific plan. Right, so that's my motion. I think Nina seconded.
We have a motion for Area 27 to, I'm not even going to try to repeat it. All those in favor say aye.
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 I'm going to vote no.
Okay.
I like the alternative 2 better.
4 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, we're going to just hop right across 70 here to look at study area 28. Again, this is the area outlined in red here that you can see. Similarly to study area 27, recharge potential impacts to ag land and habitat were highlighted in the alternatives evaluation report, in addition to high sensitivity for cultural resources. The 3 alternatives include the existing general plan, which designates the area for very low density residential development. That's the yellow that you see, and then industrial along Highway 70, the purple. Under alternative 2, this area, the lighter area, would be designated rural residential, and this area along 70 would be resource conservation. And then under alternative 3, this again would be it's kind of a blend of the previous 2, low density residential and resource conservation. So this would be about 2,600 units. Alternative 2 would have allowed about 100. Alternative 1, your current general plan, would allow about 800. The CAC supported again in this area the City of Oroville general plan, which designates the majority of the area for rural residential. They have what they call an environmental conservation and safety designation, similar to the resource conservation designation that we've been looking at. That would allow about 400 new homes. Here's what it looks like. And then there's also some mixed use and retail that didn't get captured on the text description, but the city's general plan has a mixed use and retail designation here at this intersection.
What was the vote from
To go with the
the city's plan?
The count, they supported the city's general plan, and 25 of them supported that.
I think we should too.
400 new homes.
Just half of the current general plan.
What?
Half of the current general plan.
I think we should go with that.
That one?
Yes, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for Area 28 to approve the City of Oroville's preferred plan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. You going with that one, Chuck?
Huh?
You going with that one? Oh, we have a unanimous vote on Area 28.
Okay.
Most unanimous votes today. It's gotta be-
Study area 29. We've got this one and number 30, Bangor, to go. This is Palermo. The alternatives evaluation report highlighted constraints related to economic feasibility of development here, potential impacts to recharge areas, difficulties providing wastewater service, and potential impacts to agricultural lands. This is the alternative 1, the existing general plan. This has a range of residential densities in interesting shapes. Would allow about 7,900 new units total, as well as 20 acres here for commercial and retail. Under alternative 2, the majority of the area, again, this is a map that's difficult for you to read on this slide, the majority of the area would be designated for agricultural, but closer in would be designated for, let's see, no, I'm thinking of alternative 3. Alternative 2 is, I think, pretty much all agricultural in this map.
Both of
And then, there's 2.
Just had 2 alternatives.
It's 6 o'clock. That's okay. You can do this.
I'm sorry. Okay, so this is what they both look like, and they would both have 100 new units. So we did have a very interesting explanation from CAC member Michael Evans about the history of how the existing general plan ended up with this designation pattern. And although we felt enlightened by this, most CAC members, actually all of the CAC members, supported alternatives 2 and 3 in this study area. And felt that this was much more consistent with the current character of what's there and what they believe the residents of Palermo would want to see. So this would designate the area for agriculture. It would maintain existing very low residential designations, retail, industrial, and public designations, and in total it would allow about 100 new homes.
100?
100. Oh, that says 400.
400.
400.
Sorry.
Well, the text says 100.
I think that was a correction.
Let me look at the table, because this also is one of the areas where we went back and looked at the number of vacant parcels. So I think your table, your large table here, is correct in saying 400 new units.
Well, I think the Citizens Advisory Committee is doing the right thing here, too. I'd be inclined to approve their recommendation, forward it to the Board of Supervisors.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Okay. Last study area for today. Bangor. This is study area number 30. The alternatives evaluation report identified constraints relating to market viability of development here and jobs housing balance, potential difficulty to provide fire service given the remoteness of the area, lack of access to transit, potential impacts to agriculture and habitat, as well as fire danger and potential for expansive soils and erosion. Alternative 1 is the existing general plan, which does include this kind of circular retail area. The remainder of the study area would be medium density residential development. Alternative 2 retained the retail designation, but changed the designation in the rest of the area to agriculture. And alternative 3 would keep the retail designation, but change the rest of the study area to very low density residential instead of agriculture. Alternative 3 would allow about 300 new units. Alternative 2 would not allow a significant number of new units, and alternative 1 would allow up to 1,600 new units. The CAC discussed this on April 17th, and generally they felt that alternative 2 was most reflective of the public input that they had heard from people from the Bangor community. However, they did want us to modify alternative 2 by tightening the retail definition rather than having that kind of retail blob, as they called it, that we should restrict the retail designation only to parcels where there are current retail uses. So that's what we've done in the preferred alternative. This is a modified version of alternative 2, and this was unanimously supported by the CAC. So this would include about, 15 acres of retail, as opposed to, 5 acres of retail, as opposed to, I think, about 120, which is what that previous circle represented.
Joanna, how many units were in that preferred alternative 2?
How many units in what?
Preferred alternative 2.
There would not be a significant number of new units.
Grimy Gulch Road. Grimy Gulch Road.
That's right, that's real name.
Real name, huh? Okay.
Well, I think the Citizens Advisory Committee did the right thing again, and I propose that the Planning Commission adopt their recommendation, pass it on to the Board of Supervisors.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 No opposed?
Wonderful. Well, this concludes my portion of the agenda. I want to thank you very much for making it through those study areas.
Thank you very much for your hard work on this. There is one more agenda item, just call to the chair's attention, that's important for you to handle today. But thank you very much for your hard work on that. That's extremely helpful. Item number 8.
Huh?
Item number 8.
Item number 8.
The minutes? Find them.
Sorry to do this to you, but we have an appeal on the 10th.
I have no problem.
Find it. Agenda
She probably has corrections on her copy.
minutes
Is that
of,
an extra?
oh, 2, March 13th and April 10th.